The number one reason people give me for why they haven't started or redesigned their course is I don't have time. Is that you? In this video, we're going to talk about the number one tool to help with efficient course creation. Who am I? I'm Dr. Catrina Mitchum, and I've been designing courses for adults online since 2009. We all want to be productive, and we all want to create courses that are amazing. But honestly, it can feel like the process takes forever, and there are certain parts that we can't really speed up. But there are pieces to this process that can help us be more efficient throughout. You start with this big idea or this knowing that your course isn't doing very well right now. You're excited about it, but then you realize how much work it's going to be or how much time you're going to have to spend. I've done the design and redesign on more courses than I can count since 2009, and so I get it. And it does take time, but I've got some tricks that can help. The top tool for efficient course creation is a detailed course map. Some people call this a course plan or a course outline. I like to call it a course map because it gives you an idea of where you're going and what you're doing. At its core, the course map is a bird's eye view of the journey you're taking your client on. It has your content needs listed out, but it doesn't start with content, and it's really so much bigger because we know that content dumps don't lead to learning. So course map has the steps, it has the tasks, it has the content, it has the connections between all of those things. Because remember, transparency is important. And if you don't know that, then go watch the video on why transparency is important. It can have the accessibility needs listed. It can note where folks might get stuck. Like there's a lot of things that you can build into a course map on top of the base that can help you depending on what you know you need, right? This is always about balancing you, the content, and your learner. And this is meant to give you guidance and make the next steps, which are the build and often considered the most time-consuming part, a lot easier and a lot faster and a lot less overwhelming. You just put as much information that you know you'll find useful for future you. The best part about the course map is that it's so easy to change and adapt it when you're looking at the planning part. It makes you efficient because those changes and shifts can happen before you build. Like once you build, that's the piece that feels overwhelming to go in and change or to go in and fix, or to make it reactive to the clients that have come to you to take the course. You can also adapt the course map while you're building. So if you're doing a beta test, you can refer to the course map to help you determine whether or not the next step you planned is actually what's going to help the people you have in front of you. And this can help you save time because instead of spending hours building a course that hasn't been validated, you're building in a way where you can save time and headache later. It lets you easily find where things need to change. And so a course map isn't just valuable at the beginning, it is also valuable if you're doing a redesign. The map gives you the things to ask when you're doing the validation and the testing, and it becomes a guide. So if you've already created a course and it's not going well, you can go back and build a map off of what you have and then use that map to start figuring out the pieces that aren't working. In order to be a time saver, there are four foundational pieces that can be in order to be a time saver, there are four foundational pieces that should, even though I hate shoulding, be in the course map. And that's because they are the most impactful when you're using it. The four are the structure, the tasks, the content, and the why. And so the structure is laying out how things are going to flow, how the course pieces and elements and themes are going to come together. The tasks are the what you're having them do to get to those goals. The content is the content that's going to support those tasks. And then the why is the reasons why you're having them do each and everything that you're having them do in the course. Next, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of course maps and how they all include those four foundational pieces. This isn't a deep dive, that's for the rest of the series, but it's intended to show you the four scenarios where course maps can help you save time. First is validating while I'm building the map. Next is validating with the map. The third is testing when using the map. And the final piece is fixing the course using the map.
Okay, so as I'm talking through the four different ways that you can use a course map, I'm going to show you kind of two different ways to set it up. So this one is a table. The other one I'm going to show you is more visual. But as you are trying to validate while you're building the map, I'm going to show you how I don't actually have this completely built out. You can take each one of these pieces, the tasks or some of the content or the whys, and start to ask your audience whether or not these are things that they would be interested in if they wanted to take a course on XYZ. So I think what I'm using in this particular example is a course for a mini course on creating video. And so I've got my table divided into my steps, my tasks, my content, and my why. Now, under my why, I have T for task, C for content, and then in parentheses at the bottom of that cell, you can see that I have the goals that we're working toward. So I can do this row by row. I can start with lessons and talk through the planning. Like, do you want to learn how to plan? And then I can get more nitty gritty. And as I get responses, that can help me determine whether or not they going to need the particular content or what whys might resonate more with them when we're talking about tasks and content. It can help me figure out how much planning I need to help them with, right? So if I get the feedback that they're interested in planning, but maybe they don't want to learn how to script, right? So maybe that's something I end up cutting out. And that is sort of how you can take bits and pieces as you're building out the steps that you've planned and get feedback on them in order to help you build the actual course map. The second thing you can do is you can just build the map. Right. So I could have built out this entire table and then taken the pieces and done the same thing and then maybe tweaked smaller pieces, because sometimes as the expert, we know the things that are going to be more helpful. And so there are things that have to be in there anyway, but maybe we need to do a better job of explaining why they're so important. And that's why we have this why column here. And so maybe if I built the whole map, I know that they need to that they need to do these things in order to really be successful in doing this efficiently. And so maybe I um, make my whys better, right? That might be the focus of validating using the map, is making those whys better. The third is doing the beta testing. And I'm going to just switch maps just so you get to see both. And there are other ways to set this up. Like I have another one that's set up just by tasks. And then under each task, I have the content and everything you saw in the table. This one is set up as what to cover and what to create and do. You can do it that way too, as long as you have all of the pieces in there. And so the beta test is another way and place that you can use your course map. So you can use it to build as you are going. So if I've got in week 1, we're covering planning, why bother covering, why bother planning, types of videos, but first who, then what, and creating a storyboard. And this is what I need to do. I need to make a short video. I need to create a workbook. And then the learners are going to make a planning table and then share things. So that is something that I can go to as I'm building to pull in the pieces that I need. Some of that I can do in ahead of time, right? So some of the videos I can do ahead of time. The workbooks I can plan out ahead of time. And I do suggest planning out the tasks ahead of time, because that will drive a lot of the content. And you should do that before you start recording content, because you should always be explaining what you're having them do. And then the fourth way that you can use a course map is fix it by using it. And so as you're doing the beta test, right, and you're pulling these things in, you should be getting feedback. Use that feedback to adjust this map, because it's going to give you, and I think the visual does a better job, but it's going to give you that bird's eye view of, when you go in, what you're changing and why, so that it's easier when you go back to adjust the beta test for your next round. You can also fix the course that you've already done. If you didn't do like a beta test with a map, you can go back and you can build a map based on what you have. and then go and do another round with feedback. Even if you've been running a course for a little while, if it's not doing well now, you can run it at a beta price again and call it a course revamp, and we're gonna make improvements. And so you sell it at a cheaper rate, and that means you'll get you'll get more feedback, or that's what the give and take is supposed to be. um so these are two examples of ways that you can build out the course map, like what it might look like. As I said, you really can have any things that go, anything you want to add in here. So sometimes I do like to add the particular accessibility issues that I need to cover, or add to my elements, specifically if I'm using PDFs, because those can be very inaccessible. And those are 4 different ways that you can use a course map based on anywhere you are in the course creation process.
The rest of this series is going to focus on creating course maps. Next week, we're going to start with the foundations for the map, and that's our goals, steps, and tasks. I have a course maker guide that walks you through parts of this process, and that link is in the description.